Tonight we will be entering the gentle mystery of Sinbad and the fisherman who spoke to fish. On a dawn-lit harbour where the sea grows quiet, voices soften, and something unusual is already unfolding. Sinbad noticed the fishermen before he noticed their catch. At dawn the harbour was usually loud with shouted greetings, creaking ropes, and the impatient splash of oars. But that morning a small group worked in near silence. Their movements were unhurried and careful, as though they were part of the water rather than standing above it. Nets slid into the sea without a splash, and when they were lifted again, the fish did not thrash or fight. They shimmered once in the early light and settled quietly as if they had chosen to be there. Sinbad paused on the stone quay, struck by the calm order of the scene, and felt curiosity settle in his chest like a tide rising without noise. If you enjoy gentle adventure stories filled with calm mystery and wisdom, remember to like and subscribe so you can join Sinbad on many more journeys across land and sea. Sinbad stepped closer and greeted one of the fishermen, a man with weathered hands and thoughtful eyes. "Your catch comes easily," Sinbad said. The fisherman smiled, not proudly but peacefully. "We ask," he replied. Sinbad tilted his head. "Ask whom?" The fisherman glanced toward the water where the morning light danced softly. "The sea," he said, as if that answer needed no further explanation. Throughout the day, Sinbad found himself thinking about those words. In the market he heard whispers. Some merchants claimed the fishermen could speak to fish, and that the fish understood them. Others said it was only a trick meant to scare rivals away from good waters. Sinbad believed neither fully. He had learned that truth often lived quietly between belief and doubt. What interested him most was not whether the fishermen spoke, but how they listened. When Captain Rashid prepared a short trading voyage along the coast, Sinbad asked if the fishermen might join them. Rashid agreed, curious but cautious, and 2 fishermen came aboard, carrying only nets, water skins, and a calm confidence that felt heavier than any tool. The ship sailed beneath a pale sky, the sea smooth and welcoming. The fishermen moved easily on deck, greeting the water each morning with murmured words Sinbad could not quite hear. When nets were cast, they spoke softly, shaping their requests with patience rather than force. Fish gathered without panic, these silver and blue bodies gliding into the nets in smooth arcs. Sailors watched in quiet amazement. Sinbad noticed the fishermen never took more than they needed. Smaller fish were released carefully, with gentle hands and whispered thanks, and the sea remained calm as if balance itself kept it content. On the 3rd day the sea changed without warning. Clouds gathered low and thick, dimming the light until the horizon blurred. The water beneath the hull grew restless, shifting in unfamiliar patterns. Rashid ordered the sails adjusted, but the ship did not respond as expected. A strong current caught the vessel and pulled it sideways, dragging it toward waters sailors avoided. The fishermen exchanged calm glances. "This is the whispering deep," one said quietly. "Fish avoid it unless the sea is troubled." Sinbad felt the deck tilt slightly as the pull strengthened, and an uneasy silence settled over the ship. The storm did not roar with thunder. Instead, a heavy stillness pressed down, making every sound feel distant and small. The ship drifted into a wide basin of dark water surrounded by jagged rocky rises. The air felt thick, as if even voices struggled to travel far. Sailors whispered nervously, gripping ropes and rails. Rashid stood firm at the helm, his jaw set. "We need guidance," he said. The fishermen stepped forward without fear. "Then we must listen," one replied, kneeling by the ship's side. They lowered their hands into the water and spoke softly, offering words shaped by gratitude, apology, and patience. Sinbad leaned closer, catching fragments of meaning rather than sound. The sea answered not with a voice, but with movement. Fish surfaced slowly, forming a wide circle around the ship. Their bodies shimmered faintly, reflecting a pale glow from beneath the water, as if the sea were revealing its memory. Sinbad felt his heartbeat slow. This was not danger. It was caution, careful and deliberate. A large fish rose near the bow, its eyes dark and ancient, carrying the quiet weight of time. One fisherman spoke gently, asking why the current had drawn him here. The fish sank, then rose again, and ripples spread across the basin like a message written in water. The fisherman listened closely. "The deep is wounded," one said softly to Rashid and Sinbad. "Too much has been taken without thanks. Nets dragged in anger. Fish trapped and abandoned. The sea closed this path to protect itself." Sinbad understood then. This was not a trap, but a boundary. The whispering deep was not angry. It was guarding itself. "Can we help?" Sinbad asked quietly. The fisherman translated the question into stillness and patience, waiting without demand. The fish circled again, slower now, and the water grew clearer around them. "The sea asks for repair," the fisherman said, "not only from us, but from all who travel upon it." Under their guidance, the crew began to work carefully. They retrieved torn nets abandoned by careless ships, lifting them gently from the water as if easing old wounds. They freed trapped fish and returned them to the sea with bowed heads. They gathered floating debris and pulled it aboard instead of letting it sink. No one rushed, no one complained. The work felt necessary, almost sacred, as if each small action eased a hidden ache beneath the waves. As the sailors laboured, the basin's darkness softened. The heavy pull of the current eased, and the water grew clearer and lighter. The crew offered fresh water and grain into the sea, a small return for what had been taken without thought. Sinbad watched the fishermen closely, noticing how their calm steadied everyone else. He realized that listening was not magic. It was attention shaped by humility, practiced again and again until it became instinct. When the last task was done, the fisherman spoke once more, thanking the sea for its patience. The fish surfaced again, then swam away in smooth, deliberate lines, opening a clear channel through the basin. The current shifted, no longer dragging, but guiding. Rashid raised the sails, and the ship moved forward, slipping through the passage the fish had marked. The whispering deep remained behind them, quiet and watchful, but no longer closed. That night the sailors gathered on deck beneath a sky heavy with stars. Fear had faded, replaced by thoughtful silence. Sinbad sat with the fisherman, watching starlight tremble on the water. "How did you learn to listen?" he asked. One fisherman smiled gently. "By failing first," he said. "We once took without asking. The sea answered with emptiness. Silence taught us what shouting never could." Sinbad nodded, feeling the truth settle in his chest like an anchor finding sand. When the ship returned safely to port, word spread quickly. People asked Sinbad if the fisherman truly spoke to fish. Sinbad chose his words carefully. "They speak to the sea," he said, "and the sea answers in its own way." He watched the fishermen return to their quiet work at dawn, unchanged by attention or praise, still thanking the water as if it were an old friend. In the evenings, children gathered to hear Sinbad's tale. He did not describe the fish as magical messengers or the sea as a creature to be feared. He described it as a living home, shared by many lives, each deserving care. "This sea is not a chest to be emptied," he told them. "It is a path we borrow, and must return in good condition." Later, as Sinbad walked the harbour at dawn, listening to water against stone, he understood the fisherman's true gift was not speech, but respect. By listening deeply and acting gently, they moved through the world without leaving wounds behind. That quiet wisdom stayed with Sinbad long after the voyage ended, reminding him that the greatest journeys are not measured by distance travelled, but by how carefully one listens along the way.